Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and we're discussing the college football AP Top 25 has officially dropped. It dropped yesterday. I just didn't have time to go over it. They've had the coaches poll, they've had some other polls, but this is the official one that you will be seeing on the rankings whenever you watch your team play. If your team is a part of the top 25, luckily my team is, which is not a surprise, but we'll get to them later on. I don't see many surprises on this list. I do disagree with some, but I'm not surprised because based off how the polls are and what they do each year, it's a normal trend to see teams this high that they probably shouldn't be. We'll especially discuss one of them that's in the top 10 that should not be in the top 10, but all usually is. First up, let's have number 1, Georgia. Not a surprise. They probably should be number 1. Big weakness they have that could be a weakness is their D line, but it's not like they're bad. Michael Williams is still really, really good. Excuse me. As an overall bunch, though, we shall see how they do. Carson Beck. You have Trevor Etienne. You have a lot of really good guys. You still got a good secondary, Malachi Starks. You got a really, really good team. You have a lot of tough teams to face, but it's very fair to see them number 1. They'll be playing Clemson week 1. Then number 2, Ohio State. This team's probably the most talented team. We've got to see them win in big games. They've not beat Michigan the past 3 years, but you cannot deny the opportunity they have with this team. The Will Howard at quarterback, Quinshon Judkins, Trevion Henderson, Mika Buka. You got really, really good guys. Just on the offense, you have JT Tomolowa, and you also have Caleb Downs. You got a really, really good team overall, and that's not even going into deep depth. That's just like the 6 main guys, and then you have a lot of really, really good ones. They're going to be a really talented team, but can they win the really, really big games? We shall see. Number 3, Oregon. Very talented team. One of the more talented Oregon teams we've seen since probably the Mariota days. They have really good offense. Very good quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Evan Stewart's come in there. They got really good defense. Dan Lanning, who was the defensive coordinator at Georgia, been the coach. He's making his defense really good, and his offense is going to be great. They will play each other. There's a possibility we have an Oregon-Ohio State top 5 matchup. If the polls stay exactly how they are, it's 2 and 3 facing each other. But you know this is not going to be the same polls. Things fall, things change. Teams rise, teams fall. I'd be surprised if any one of those 2 teams have lost by the time they've played. But Oregon's still really, really good. That's a fair spot. Number 4, Texas. Steve Sarkisian knows what he's doing down there. Quinn Ewers is their lead guy at quarterback. He's one of the Heisman front runners. Deservingly so. Hopefully he stays healthy because they need him to stay healthy. They have a really, really good team. Isaiah Bond's coming there. They have a good defense. They need to work on their secondary, though. But I bet they will. With the talent they have down there, the group they have, I would be surprised if their secondary is not improved. And number 5, with a new head coach who just retired before, Nick Saban's Alabama team. Nick Saban's not there anymore, so we got Kellen DeBoer. Alabama's number 5, not a huge surprise. Again, Jalen Milroe, a Heisman candidate, with a really, really good team around him. Going to be their run game. That's going to be their main part. You have a really, really good oh my gosh. Very, very good run game. Justice Haynes, I'd say, is the main guy. You got Jam Miller. You have a really, really good group. And then your receiving core, solid. Defense, it's going to be a question. But overall, their talent's going to be really, really good. Their offensive line's going to improve. And they have a lot of big games. They play Wisconsin in week 3. And they also play Georgia coming off a bye week. So, it's going to be big games. Big games. Number 6, this is the highest rank this team's had since 1970 of Ole Miss. Ole Miss, and again, deservingly so. Lane Kiffin is the king of the transfer portal, and he's probably going to continue that for now on until something's changed. And they got Jackson Dart as a 3rd-year starter. You have Ulysses Bentley, who's a really, really good running back. Also Logan Diggs. Logan Diggs is out there. Yeah, he's really, really good. You got some really good receivers. His defense is only getting better. Can Ole Miss actually just stop getting in the way of themselves? Historically, the main problem of Ole Miss has just been themselves. It's not the teams that they face; they just cannot get over the hump themselves. They have the opportunity to do it. They have the opportunity to do it this year, though. But they do have an easy schedule. So they mainly play Georgia, Oklahoma, and LSU. If you win 2 of those 3 games, you're almost a lock for a playoff seed. Number 7. This is the main one. Notre Dame. Why is Notre Dame number 7? I honestly really can't tell you why. Riley Leonard is to come in there. But this team has choked in big opportunities that I don't understand why they're this high. They're always this high. Their defense probably will be very, very good, but I just don't see this team being any better. If you couldn't do it with Sam Hartman, why do you think your offense is going to be better with Riley Leonard? I don't see that. I don't, but they're number 7. They will be playing A&M. who's in this top 25, by the way. So they will be showing off in Kyle Field. Are they really a top 10 team, or are they frauds? Number 8, Penn State. Talking about a team that might be a fraudulent team. This team, though, has a bit more potential, I say, than Notre Dame does. They avoid playing, I'm pretty sure they avoid playing Michigan this year. They still have to play Ohio State. But you avoid a team that's been really, really getting at you, which is Michigan. You have Drew Aller at quarterback. You have a very, very good defense. And James Franklin. People are talking about they need to fire James Franklin. No. First of all, this team has not much before. They were solid. But with James Franklin, they excelled so much. And also, what other coach would you get? James Franklin's great. I think people just really underappreciate him. It's kind of like the Jim Harbaugh thing. They underappreciate him for what he's done. They've won a Big Ten title with him there. They just haven't had great quarterback play. And if Drew Aller can make a difference, that'd be huge. They need that difference maker, and Drew Aller can definitely be that. Number 9, Michigan. They won the national title game last year. Different group, all that. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. Alex Orji at quarterback. Still got Donovan Edwards. Still got a good offensive line. Their defense is going to be really, really good. So we're going to be interested to see about that. Florida State, number 10. Not bad. They have DJ Uiagalelei coming in now. They were 13-0 last year, and then they were not allowed to make the playoff. Even though I thought they should have. I think they earned it more than Bama did. But they ended up losing 63-3 to Georgia, which is a very, very bad way to end off your year. But they're still a really, really good group. They do miss guys like Keon Coleman and players like Jared Verse. Very important guys. But still a really, really good group. Mike Norvell's doing great stuff. And they're the heavy favorites to win the ACC, which I'm surprised if they don't. And if they win that, they're going to lock for a playoff. So that's all you really want, just to make the playoff. I don't care if you're a 1 seed or a 12 seed. Just make the playoff. That's what a lot of people are worried about. I think they will. Next up, number 11. This is a boomer bust team, I feel like, this year, of Missouri. We've seen teams have really, really good years, and then they creep back down. Can they do that? Difference about them, they have their quarterback, and they still got their receiver. They got really, really good playmakers, mainly Luther Burden III, who's by far the best receiver in the country, and a really, really good quarterback, Brady Cook. Their defense will be a question. They lost some guys last year. Their defense wasn't superb, but it was pretty good. Let's see how they do this year. I'm interested in how they're going to do this year. I'm interested in all these teams, but especially a team like Missouri. They don't play heavy competition really until Alabama, and that's at Alabama, so that's really, really, really tough. And that might be a must-win for both teams in that game. That'll be even more interesting. Number 12, Utah. They're the heavy favorites to win the Big 12. Not a whole lot to say about him. Cam Rising should be coming back. Hopefully he is. And coming back to the level that he was at. Their defense can be really, really good. Can they win the big games? And their big games aren't going to be the Oregon, the Washington anymore, or the USC. They are going to be the Arizona, Kansas States of the world. Big difference, but still really, really tough competition. I got Utah. They'll probably end up. Them and Arizona, I say the two main teams are in the Big 12. Arizona is also on this list, which I'm happy about. Arizona, that's my prediction that when the Big 12 is Arizona. Yeah, they're really, really, really good. Number 13, LSU. A little bit high in my opinion. Their defense showed nothing to really have faith in them. They let 35 to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, out of all teams, they let 35 to them in the bowl game. Not really a lot to say, yeah, that's going to be really, really good. And then they're playing USC, who has the best offensive coach in the country of Lincoln Riley, one of the worst defensive coaches, but he's made the playoffs because of his offense. Their offenses are really, really good, but he has struggled heavily against SEC opponents. So, can they win? They definitely can win. Just the idea of, can LSU get a stop? Can LSU get a stop? And also, how's Garrett Nussmeier going to be? They're without Brian Thomas, without Malik Neighbors, without Logan Diggs. Can they bring some new talent in? Can these guys have already been there excel even more? It'll be interesting to see, but Garrett Nussmeier, I think he's really, really good. He's definitely not the scrambler that Jane Daniels was. A little bit high in my opinion, though, because a team that went 10-3 the year before that has heavy struggles defensively, even though they got a new bunch, and at coaching, I just don't see the huge jump coming yet. Number 14, Clemson, maybe a little bit high. Their defense can be really, really good, but their offense, Cade Klubnik, not the best quarterback in the world. Still a bit overhyped in my opinion, but they still got a good team. Solid offense, really, really good defense. Could become a great defense again, but it just depends on what's going to happen. And they play Georgia. Georgia is either going to be a blowout win for them or a close game, which maybe could go either way. That's what you're really hoping for. You hope for a close game late, low scoring, kind of like what you had last time you played each other, which was 10-3, and a pick six was a deciding by Georgia, number 29. Shout out to him with the pick six. It was a really, really boring game, but Georgia took that and went on to win national title. I'm not saying Clemson would if they won that game in that type of way, but only time will tell. Number 15, Tennessee. That's my team. Nico Iamaleava, great quarterback. He'll be really, really good for us this year. Receiving core has got a lot better. I feel like Bru McCoy's coming back. You got Chris Braswell coming in. He's going to be really, really good. And Dylan Sampson, who is Alvin Kamara, again, for this team, which we actually know how to use him right. Butch Jones didn't, but Josh Heupel would. So we're getting Dylan Sampson. So, not a lot of times in life in football, your team gets a redo opportunity when it comes to a player. You get a similar play style from a guy, plays just like him. But now we do. Dylan Sampson, we have a better coach, and also we have the best front line in the SEC. Problem with this team is Tennessee gets in their own way, and also their secondary is completely new. We need to figure that out. And also D. Williams is gone, and D. Williams was a really, really good guy at returner, and we're going to not have that. So he made a lot of really big plays. So yeah. And number 16, Oklahoma. These two play each other really early on near Tennessee and Oklahoma, which will be a very good game. Very, very good game. Jackson Arnold here. You saw him one game against Arizona. We questioned the offensive line, and we heavily questioned that the turnovers might become a problem. I would say outside of the game against Tennessee, I hope he doesn't have any turnover problems. They have a really good receiving core. They have an overall good team. Defense might be a little bit of a question, but mainly offensive line is going to be the main question. They have a good secondary, especially if it comes to turnovers. Force a lot of turnovers. They make a lot of big plays. If you look at the games last year they lost, when their defense started to allow a bit more, then started to allow some big touchdowns later on. Oklahoma State and Kansas. They lost to Kansas. That's bad. And they lost to Arizona. That's mostly because the offense was just really, really bad when it comes to turnovers. It wasn't all Jackson Arnold's fault, but it was a lot of his fault. 17, Oklahoma State, their rival, Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon. That's what's going to ride upon. He's the Heisman leader when it comes to running backs, which is not really, really high, but he's the only one of our actual chance, I would say. And this team could be really good. They made the Big 12 title game last year. Don't count them out. We'll see what happens. I'm interested. I'm kind of interested about this team, kind of not. I'm not a huge Oklahoma State fan, just in general. Shout out to Mike Gundy, though. But I'm just intrigued of all these teams, especially. I'm interested in all these teams. I know I say that a lot, but I really am. Until we see how these teams play out, I'm going to be interested in a lot of them. And number 18, Kansas State, Avery Johnson, main guy, outside of Nico Iamaleava. He's looked at as probably the best first-year starter out of anyone in the country. Interested to take care of that and see how they do for Kansas State. Defense not bad. Just make some improvements on certain things. So I'd say just a little bit better at everything, and it'll be perfectly fine. They're probably the second best team in the Big 12. I'd say they're better than Oklahoma State, right behind Utah when it comes to odds making. The odds makers when it comes to the Big 12 championship possibilities. They're up there, which is a good thing to see for them. Number 19, Miami. You got Cam Moore down there, and you got a lot of good players. Problem is you got Mario Cristobal as a head coach, and he's made a lot of mistakes. Can they finally get over their own hump? Let's see what happens this year. And they play some pretty important teams, but overall, not a bad schedule. It's manageable. Cam Ward's projected the winner of the ACC Player of the Year. He's a preseason favorite. See if that happens. We'll just see. A&M, number 20. They're playing Notre Dame week 1. Connor Weigman's coming back. They got Mike Elko coming in from Duke. Big things. Big things are happening in A&M. And will they start off on the good note, or will they not? I hope they do. I kind of like to see A&M whoop Notre Dame. It'd be great to see. It's good when A&M's good in the SEC. Brings a lot of competition, and they get in the way of Alabama. They don't play them this year, but they play Texas, which would be nice to see if they get into their way. Number 21, Arizona. Arizona. I love Arizona, in my opinion. Noah Fafita is a top 5 quarterback in the country. If you don't know who he is, go look him up and go watch some Arizona games for this year. He's really good. He's going to ball out. They're going to beat Utah, and they're going to beat Kansas State. Just watch this happen. They will be a great team this year. They'll pick up where they left off last year. I know Jedd Fisch is not going to be there, but they still got a good team, and they kept a lot of guys compared to what you might think they would have done. They're really good. They're really good. And number 22, Kansas. Kansas ranked in the top 25, which is kind of a weird thing to see. I know it's like college basketball, you see that every year, but Kansas in the top 25 in football. Weird to see. What if you told someone that 6 years ago that they'll be a top 25 team? I doubt many would believe you, but we're here now, and 2024 is very different than it was in 2019 in a lot of ways. But Kansas is one. And they got a good team. Jalen Daniels, he's going to be up there. They got a good running game. Can they get key stops, and can they win the big games? They beat Oklahoma. Can they consistently win a lot of big games? They got to beat Kansas State. They got to beat those type of teams. We shall see what happens. Can they make the jump again? They got a really, really good coach. So if you can turn around Kansas, a football program, you're a really, really good coach. Number 23, USC. Same problem every year for Lincoln Riley. His defense going to be good. I have no problem with their offense. Their defense going to be the main question. Focus on that. Number 24, NC State. They also played Tennessee very early on in the year. Good defensive group they have. They got Grayson McCall coming at quarterback from Coastal Carolina. Yeah, he's been in college football for a long time. This team here, they had a slow start last year, but they could definitely just pick up where they left off. They lost to Kansas State in the bowl game, I'm pretty sure, the Pop-Tart Bowl. But this team's going to be pretty good. Don't overlook them if you're a Vol fan. Take them serious. Take them serious. And then number 25, you have Iowa. They're always up here. Do they deserve it? Yeah. They made the Big Ten title game last year. They have a thing last year, though, that against all ranked opponents, they never scored. They never scored even a field goal against any ranked opponent. That's pitiful. That's pitiful. But they beat up bad teams, and they beat some solid teams, and they end up working their way into the Big Ten title game. But without divisions this year, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. They got to find an offense, and they pick up with the guy they had last year who played in the bowl game against Tennessee. He wasn't bad. The guy who finished it off, he could run. If this team turned into like an option team, it wouldn't be that bad. We'll see what happens, though. Some teams on the fringe of making it was like Virginia Tech and Louisville. Two closest teams to making it. And also Washington. So, yeah. Put down in the comments your opinions about this. Have a great day, y'all. Hope you have a great day, y'all. Stay safe. Remember, God bless y'all.